Thank you so much, Srini, for joining us on this podcast at Dawdle.live. And again, thankful to all the leaders who have been watching this and who have been a part of our platform, helping us, motivating us, inspiring us thick and thin. Before we go to the set of topics that we have today to discuss with Srinivas, we'll kind of give a formal introduction about him. He's a seasoned global delivery and technology leader with over 2 decades of experience across product engineering, AI, data, enterprise IT transformation. He is currently Vice President Delivery and Centers of Excellence at Summer Solutions, where he has built and scaled GCC operations, driving AI-led innovation, operational excellence, and significant cost and efficiency gains. He had a very long tenure at Novartis, where he led product strategy, agile transformation, and large-scale digital initiatives that improved delivery speed and customer outcomes. He is known in the industry for building high performing teams, establishing centers of excellence, and delivering scalable, high impact technology solutions across global markets. Thank you so much, Srini, for joining us. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Rishikesh. Thanks for having me here. It's really nice, kind to give the kind of introduction. Hey, I don't know, really, I've done so much of work in last 2 decades. It was quite nice. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, Srini. Thank you for being so humble. Srini, you have led the creation of a capability center in a tier 2 town. And we were talking about that, last day as well. And you kind of transformed it into a profit generating operation within a very short span of time. We see many organizations struggle to make offshore centers strategic rather than transactional. From your experience, what were the key decisions that helped convert this center from a support function into a value creating engine for the business?
Yeah. So this topic is very close to my heart. In fact, I think after coming out of Novartis in 2023, I have joined a small US based company. They were actually looking for someone who can establish the offshore center for their organization that primarily based out of US, and they would like to see some offshore center capabilities to be built in India. And the challenge was, in fact, they were looking at a tier 3 town in India. Having something in a metro or something, it's quite easy because already established frameworks are there to kind of use it. But tier 3 town, it was tough. In fact, I think we need to have a different strategy to kind of make it first thing to establish, build it. Then maybe probably after that we'll operationalize it and maybe make it as a profit center and transition it to maybe who are operations that they're going to run. We thought we need to have a different approach, and we never looked at the existing frameworks in the market. Primarily, most of them use a bot model, which is build, operationalize, and then transition. That's what they do that. But I thought maybe we need to come up with a customized, kind of a framework which will work for those tier 3 towns. We call it as CRUB. It's not an industry standard framework. CRUB is basically you need to build the culture, right? And basically you need to look at the relevance of it. The team is relevant for the business, right? What they have, what are the priorities for the organization, and extraction of potential what they have. Because I've seen most often the 3 towns actually they have a lot of skills, right? But kind of identifying the skills and bringing up to the kind of what we need. The speed is quite difficult there because they're very shy in nature and they're very reserved, right? You need to spend a lot of time with them. And extraction of potential as well, right? We need to really, really spend a lot of time as a leadership team. We need to understand what actually motivates them, what kind of skills they have, and where exactly. Probably some of them, they don't even know what exactly they're good at, right? That's how it is. In fact, even though we have hired people from some of the good engineering colleges from the tier 3 town, but I haven't seen really they coming up with saying that I have these skills, right? Yeah. So the last one is belief, right? In the CREB framework is basically most of them they haven't had the exposure to the metro kind of environment, right? When they see that the belief is lacking there, I can do that, I'm capable, I think I have the skill set. That to build that kind of belief is also a challenge for us. So we looked at this CREB framework and we had a certain set of actions for all the kind of elements in that. In fact, for example, it could be a culture building. Corporate culture was not there. In fact, they don't understand really how corporates work because all they work for small internship somewhere in the nearby some tier 3 towns and all, maybe something they do that which doesn't really teach them how to behave in a corporate. Yes. So that took a lot of time for us to kind of make them understand how actually things will work. For example, you are assigned to a project, you have some kind of responsibilities. You need to have a delivery timelines and you need to really commit to the outcomes of it, right? Is something which they never had that kind of mindset. They come and go, and that's how they have seen that. Some of them they had, right? But I think mostly 80 to 90% we had to kind of inculcate the corporate culture. It took some time for us. And coming to relevance, I think somewhere we saw that um, we don't want to make this offshore center as a innovation lab or training lab, right? Something people usually feel that, okay, it's a kind of training institute where we learn and we'll see that later, whether they're going to fit into the projects or not. But from the first day itself, we said that that's the ultimate objective for us to get into project and really, really create value for the organizations. Because what a vision we had in the company, which has some kind of a AWS as one of the cloud skills we need to have, and contact center solutions is one of the skills we need to have. Those skill sets actually we asked our associates to kind of. So initially, what we did, we had some intern resources who were based out of US, and they trained our folks. And in the process, we actually built the usable assets and frameworks and playbooks, something that so that template isn't built. Though we kind of hired some people outside of the organization later stage, it was pretty quick for us to kind of train them and bring them up to the speed, and we could put them in the projects. Right, that's how it was. So crab model is something which is very internal to us. We built that, and it really worked very well for us. And I see that around we have around 56 internal associates and maybe around 30, 40 consultants work across India for us. And we've been very successful. And we translated that capability center from within 6 months from a cost center to profit center. And more resources coming from later in the other quarter, I think they hardly took a month to kind of come up to the speed and be in the projects, whereas it took almost 3, 4 months for initial resources to kind of make them project ready.
This was pretty inspirational because I think a lot of these companies can follow this model.
Yeah, definitely. Because I don't really see that a one framework which is industry standard will fit, wherever the big culture is quite different in tier three towns. I think that they need to really understand and see that what actually fit in, and we need to make a tailor-made framework for them. Definitely, that's important.
And if this actually starts happening, I think India will have a lot of decentralized development, which is the need of.
Yes, absolutely. I know that's needed actually. That's so much focus on the metros and the cities. I think we still have talent. We still have talent. I've seen people say it's not because they're not getting jobs. That's the reason they're staying in the tier three towns, because they have a family responsible. They're
Yes.
actually senior citizens. Actually, their families are their parents. They want to take care, and maybe they have obligations to be staying there and ensuring that they need to take care of some other things. I think we can provide employment for them as well. I think that's something we did, and we did project that to government of Andhra Pradesh as well, saying that we are providing employment for these young folks. Right, average age was around 23 years old. Right, for internal associates, most of them are interns. We got them from nearby colleges, engineering colleges.
Now, the next topic is also very close to your heart, is related to centers of excellence.
Oh yeah.
So you have established multiple centers of excellence across AI, cloud, data analytics, test automation, contact center solutions. What we see is that most of the organizations create COEs, but they often remain isolated innovation teams. But in your case, these COEs directly improve the delivery velocity and reduced cost. So how do you design COEs so that they influence real delivery outcomes rather than just becoming theoretical innovation units?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is also very interesting topic. In fact, when we haven't started the COIs in the beginning, because we need to build the capabilities first. So that started maybe 6 7 months after we kind of started the capability center. People got into projects, and we identified some of the areas wherein we need to really have the COIs, because we see a lot of opportunities there from offshore center. And we never thought COIs are innovation labs. Definitely, we never thought those. These are something which is delivery engines for us. That's how we looked at the COIs. And the objective for our COEs, and there's a tagline for all of COEs, what are AWS and GCPs, we talked about AI and data analytics, we kind of built it. We said, you guys, for example, we have a set of people part of COEs, though they are part of projects, they could be a part of multiple COEs. They should be project ready. When I say project ready, they should have the right skills to kind of execute the project requirements, what we have, and in the right when timelines as they understand. It's just not technology, it's also understanding the culture, maybe the what expectation
Yes.
the client has in terms of delivering the project as well. That includes the quality, it includes maybe the project management methodologies, what they have, agile, all those stuff. It's something which we thought it's a complete package. We'll give them and ensure that they get a skill there and ready for the project. That's how we look at COEs. And this is also where somewhere we actually looked at a model, right, which we call it as deliver, right? Deliver is basically we looked at the CO as a delivery first model, right? It's not that I'm going to come and learn, I'm going to innovate something, I'm going to look at something and do that. No, you need to deliver first. It could be something already there's already a project which was executed by maybe previous team members or maybe previous project or maybe a past project what we did. We actually simulate those existing projects here and see that what best we can do, what kind of innovation you can make, what kind of automation you can make that make it much better product. So we do that. So delivery first kind of mindset we brought in the team as very important, or else they will still live in the bubble wherein, yeah, I'm still learning, right? I'm not
Yes.
yet ready, right? The comfort zone, we don't want them to, we want to push them a little hard. And again, they're not that vocal to say that what challenges they have. You need to really spend time, be with them, understand what challenges they have. Probably we can just, those hurdles, we can take them out from in their path and just give them the right direction for them to be successful. And also, it's not that they are we don't leave them alone. Everybody will be part of projects. It's not that really. It could be a support project where they do change requests for them, right? It could be a smaller project for them. So ensuring they're embedded into the projects, not that really they're going to stay away from project back end. They're going to do some tasks or say APIs they build and they give it. No, we don't let them do that. We usually ask them to be part of the project, ask them to be part of the discussions as well, right? In terms of when you provide the solution, that's something which they feel that they're more of inclusive in a culture we built it. So they also feel that I'm part of it. I'm delivering. I'm generating some value for the organization. That's what they should feel. Though they're not billable associates for us, but still we ensure that they're part of the process, so they get the real time experience there. And also, it's not easy. Even a client will not accept having a junior resource to be part of the project, right?
Yes.
So we look at some of the low hanging fruits, right? Low risk, high value kind of some task, or maybe a smaller stuff. Maybe call it as reusable components. What we need to make, those actually pick it up and give it to these junior associates from the capability center and ask them to build. How it actually helped us, in fact, that helped us to exhibit the skills, right? They can exhibit the skills what they actually learned. Also, the confidence what it built in them, saying that yes, we can also deliver, right? Also help them to kind of own the outcomes. It's basically everybody look at, yes, something has been given to, I did the work, right?
Yes.
So rather than owning the outcome, yes, I delivered something, yes, I own it now. Yeah, actually, I kind of understood the requirement of owning it. That's something which is I think that comes with experience actually. But we kind of started in the beginning itself. You need to own the outcome. Accountability is something you should have for whatever actually work you do that. So the owning outcome and actually give build, and they feel great about that, right? And
Yes.
the belief will be there. I can do whatever, even the complex of requirement comes in. That's what we have, and I think that really helped. In fact, rather than kind of throwing them into a bigger, complex projects, and that will hit their confidence as well. So we thought maybe low hanging fruits to pick, and which will generate a lot of impact. That's what we did, and also there, it's also a challenge for us to kind of build the trust between onshore and offshore team, right? Most of the project managers who actually do the initial discussions with the client are from US. So most of them are onshore and we have the offshore team. So we slowly built the confidence between, we integrated this team as well to kind of be part of the discussion with the clients as well. So understand what kind of how the requirement comes in, right? So how much are you say that we are kind of value generating engines, what we're building in India, and it's about cost. It isn't it? What revenue you're making? What is the margin for me, right, per hour, right? That's what matters for them. And having a project manager from India versus having a project manager in US, definitely there's a lot of difference in per hour cost. So we kind of slowly started that maybe around 6 8 months. And after that, I've seen that some other people picking up and they could able to face um, what do you call that, the customers, right? And they can understand the requirement. They can translate into IT systems as well. Put in the FRS and requirement specification. So this deliver model is actually what we followed. That's also custom framework what we thought. It definitely helped specifically on the low hanging fruits, what you look low risk and high impact area. That really helped the approach rather than throwing them into bigger projects.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and also in the process, what they did, they actually built a lot of repeatable assets, frameworks, as well as playbooks. What, as I said, that was used for retrain the people who are actually joining new, right? We have attrition, definitely we have some attrition. People learned, they did well, and they moved to bigger companies, the Infosys, Cognizant and all, but people come and go. That's expected. I think we kind of later, set of resources we recruited, they were trained in a month's time, I think, with all of whatever we learned. And it's on project, what work you have done. We just reusable components are there. All they need to understand how that's been built and embed them. COE was Definitely, it was a little tough for us to kind of build with because we have inexperienced people. Also, we follow the 2080 experience model as well. 20% experienced people and consultants we hired across India. They may not be full time. They usually start with client facing roles and doing the architecture space. At the same time, they mentor the junior resources as well. That's how we land 80% usually junior resources. That's how the model we follow here.
Yeah, this is insightful. And I think all these companies like Infosys, TechM would have been following similar kind of a model. Like,
Yes, they do that. They do that. I think, but they have big pool of resources, isn't it? They don't
yes.
have. We have limited resources. Having one person bench, it's actually cost for us. That's how we actually
Yes.
look at it.
So we'll talk a bit about the delivery models. Like since you operate global delivery models with extremely high SLA expectations and distributed teams. Now, when it comes to such kind of an environment, maintaining reliability while scaling rapidly is a major challenge. So, what governance frameworks, metrics, or leadership practices have you found out to be most critical in ensuring consistent performance?
Okay, we primarily were doing projects for US, right? Some of them we have globally, which are more of a support projects. What we have. We have 24 by 7. I think some of the projects we have for support, which we thought, I think having resources will help definitely. It's not that I think what we thought about scaling by people will work to some extent, but I think some level of innovation we need to do that, right? To kind of I think now looking at AI is real. In fact, people
Yes.
keep saying that will not come. I think we thought, in fact, it's something where we need to really embrace and just ensure that it can be applied in our operations as well. So what we did, in fact, three, four areas we looked at, right? One is actually governance, definitely, as you mentioned about. We made sure that there is escalation matrix, right, for any issues what we have. And also, somebody is accountable for it. Then there's a project running and you're accountable for project deliverables from offshore team, right?
Yes.
Ensuring you're going to report it back to so and so person for the project. That accountability, you made sure that is there. And also ensuring that set of KPIs, what has been defined at the client level. What does it mean by success to this project? That not necessarily it's same KPI we're going to measure, but we have a delivery KPIs which is there. What is the speed for us? When do you actually, how many of those user stories actually been delivered on time? Did we
Yes.
really slippage of time? Is that those KPIs we had, those metrics we had a dashboard, in fact, that they will be looking at that and we'll share that dashboard with the client as well, saying that these are our metrics, which are actually derived from your strategic KPIs for the project, what we have. And that's how we actually measure our success. That's what we said. That's a dashboard KPIs we looked at. One thing actually we did in our organization for this 24 by 7 our operations, what we do that we actually looked at bots, automating bots. Like for example, we have some other support calls coming in for P1, P2, P3, right? And
Yes.
P1, P2, mostly they look at one of the SLAs, response SLAs, answering services what they need. Because we being a contact center solution, we are actually into contact center solutions like EWS and GCP and Avaya, Genesis, all those stuff. We built automated bots for them. So it automatically picks up the answers and at the same time, it will have a option for the user when they call to kind of talk to the live agent if its answer has not been provided to them. But we had the knowledge base, we had those Gen AI, what are tools we need to use. And we did that. In fact, we kind of bots have been really, and we had a KPI of having around 60% of our calls to be answered by the bot and only 40% that's but we could able to achieve only 50% of them, right, as something. But that's a good achievement in 1 year time. And we built quite a few bots, trust me, really. In fact, I think it was really useful for us. And as well as we kind of published them in our website and other customers started asking for that we need. And it actually reduced the cost. And we actually gave that benefit back to the customer as well. Because year on year, they'll ask for, what is that I'm going to get benefit from you as a vendor? So the bots actually help us to kind of stick to the contractual agreement, what you have year on year, what benefits you're going to give to customer. So automation is something we put in and obviously, if you ask me what actually is the how it has successful the delivery model you are looking at, we looked at intelligent systems with a strong governance around that, right? That's what we built. Mostly automation, what we did, and obviously there are some senior analysts or maybe developers who are there who are actually managing the P2, P3 tickets kind of thing.
Yes. When we talk about leadership in large enterprise technology environment, you kind of also introduced a product mindset and agile development models that significantly accelerated delivery speed.
Correct.
So, whenever we are talking about large organizations where teams are traditionally project driven, what does it really takes to shift the culture towards product thing?
This is also one of the closest things for me. I know.
Yes, I know.
The reason being, it's everything is, you know, people talk about products, right? And they say we are kind of doing a product management. And I've been consulting off late with a lot of other companies as well.
Yeah.
I've been seeing the product mindset is not there. If you ask me what is a project mindset, project is basically, if you look at the mindset, will be, have I delivered what has been
Yes.
asked?
Yes.
Have I dealt with what have been asked? That's simple, as simple as client asked a dashboard, I built and gave it to them. That's done. Whereas product, I'm saying, did I really deliver a solution, right solution for the problem, right?
Right.
So I think that we need to spend more time on the problem and the product mindset, right? When you have a product, you want to build something, it's a shift of how you think, right? And quite often what you do, most of the customers, when they get the requirements, said, well, this is the requirement I have, I want to build something. They're rather than giving a requirement, they give a solution to us. Yeah. So that's where I think I see that most often we fail to ask the right questions, right? Take a step back, ask them to, yeah, what actually is your problem? Anything I see, we are building a IT system, providing a flow, providing a process. There's a problem, underlying problem there for you. So tell me what exactly is your problem. Then spend more time on the problem. See, maybe existing solution itself has some kind of a, maybe you can give a better solution for them. I think that shift was little difficult because even project itself was to make them understand project life cycle. It was itself is a difficult task for our associate because junior resources were there. That's where we got some product managers to train our folks as well, right? And making them understand what actually a product is about, right? And while doing so, that we kind of inculcated that product mindset in them and spending more time in the problem statement. What actually is the problem? And then you actually talk about and solution, right? And somebody, and you should be really, really asking questions, right? Why, why are you having this problem? What could be the challenge? How long you've been having? And the solution what you given, have you tested it? Maybe something, but because usually I see most often as a client is giving a solution. They think that they're giving a requirement, but I don't think so. They're giving a solution to us. I think that's our part. We should do that as a development team. So that's where I've seen that the shift to bring in. We kind of trained our folks, and we had some exercises from existing projects. What we did that, how we actually split those problem statements into user stories. Understand this rather than showing that you should not focus on output. You should focus on outcome, right? What actually value it's generating. Example, if you look at a pharma company, mostly the company IT systems revolve around compliance and regulation. What you
Yes.
pay on that to kind of meet the expectation of compliance and regulatory bodies. So when we give an outcome, we should say that I have actually built IT system to kind of maybe 21 CFR Part 11 compliance or Alcoa principles are followed. So that should be the outcome they should be thinking about rather than kind of building the system for what customer asked for. So we kind of taught them these basic. It took some time, definitely, and still a long journey for them. But I see that still they're actually much better than what they were in the beginning to understand the problem and they're asking questions to customers as well. That really helped them. I think training definitely it has to be. People have to be trained on the product management, understand how to take their problem statements and kind of split them into multiple user stories. Their understanding is very important, right? How to do.
Right. And this I see a major, kind of a challenge, because when I talk to other leaders also, they also tell the same thing. Like, this habit of thinking of, have I delivered, to, what you told is that, can I think of, have I solved their problem?
Yes,
It,
yes. Right. They're two different things, completely different things. I think people get scared. I've seen in one of the when I was consulting one of the companies, they said that customer asked me to do something. I raised a ticket. We did that. They're happy. But imagine if you want to be, for example, as a vendor, as a development company, you want to be a strategic vendor to the company. You should really kind of walk, hip to hip and shoulder to shoulder with them. Or else you don't understand because you need to be part of the problems. You need to understand your problem, my problem. I'll understand, give you a right solution for you and translate those problems into IT systems wherein see that the solutions are working for you or not. And also one thing we keep forgetting, we provide solutions for them, but at the end of the day, we don't really measure the metric whether how the adoption is.
yes.
Is it working is okay. Maybe we do all OQ, PQs, all testings we do, that's okay. But when you it goes into the production, post go live, I think the trend wherein how users have adopted that KPI is also very important to see that are you successful? It's just not delivering. It's also whether it's been adopted correctly or not.
Yes. And that is where I see a lot of these companies also coming into consulting as well. Na? Like Infosys has come into consulting, Accenture has come into consulting. If we see their rate cards, it's like 40% of what they're building, and it's like around 50-60% is around how it is being executed. What's the measurable outcomes that's coming out?
Yes, yes. I've seen there are quite a few changes the way actually billing the customers as well nowadays, right? And even the clients are becoming very smart. In fact, they look at, though there's a delivery focused the agreements they have nowadays. I think they just not though they have a delivery focused agreements with the vendors, they're looking at some of the areas where I would want to have these KPIs met, right?
Yes.
After post go live adoption rate, maybe it's generating value or not, especially AI adoption they look at. Because there'll be tall claims, isn't it, from vendors saying that I automate this using AI, my Gen AI, I'm going to do that. I would like to see some kind of outcome as a client. He'll ask, definitely, he or she will be asking that I would need to see results. You say around $10 million I'm going to save in coming 1 year. I want to see
Yes.
the results. Or maybe hours, you're talking about how many hours I'm going to save.
Yes.
That metric. And it's part of the development work, what they do. The dashboard they need to build, how are you going to measure the data sources there for the KPI or not. Everything is part of it, the contract. So they're becoming very smart. I think they can't fool
Yes.
around now, the vendors nowadays.
Yes. Yes. Even the family businesses have gone very smart these days.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very smart. True. True, I know. And actually, I've seen some of the companies actually they're asking for come and just show us a POC, show us the POC. And multiple vendors actually execute the POC, though they spend some money on that. But I think they have a different, kind of solutions coming in, different models. They actually get that, and finally they're going to decide on one vendor. They may not be one of the vendors who they executed POCs with. They might be completely new
Yes.
vendor.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so it's they're quite smart nowadays.
Have heard this story many times. I will not name the company, but like
And finally, the vendor says, "Oh God, I did so much of work." And end of the day, they paid for. I know they don't pay a bomb for the POC. Definitely, vendor thinks that I'm throwing a carrot to the client. I might get a project for, but actually, they're giving the entire solution to them. They're going to own that, right? So
yes.
probably internal IT team can build for them. So they're becoming very.
Yes. Srini, you have led several large technology transformation initiatives earlier in your career as well,
Yes.
including complex platform migrations, enterprise system modernization programs. So when you look back at those programs, what are some of the biggest mistakes that organizations make when managing large transformation initiatives?
Okay. I think maybe one statement I'll give, it's most of the we talk about failures, success. I think that's where the failures are the lessons for us, isn't it?
Yes.
So most of the transformations I feel they have been failing because of people, right? Not because of technology. Definitely not because of technology. I think the decision makers, right, who actually decides on technology, they are very far from ground reality, what actually need to be done. So that's how it's more of a game of people rather than a technology game in transformation, especially. You have some legacy system, you want to transform the whole thing, like quite a few digital transformations, I've seen that, wherein quite often I've seen that the decisions who made the decisions, the people who actually, the critical people who made the decisions, they are very, very far from the people who actually get impacted because of transformation, or maybe will are actually executing the processes after the transformation is done. So they were nowhere involved in the decision making. So
Yes.
end of the day, somebody else has to kind of use the systems because of transformation. They are not part of it. I think it'll be a big failure for sure, right? It's
Yeah.
because they need to understand the real pain. There should be a problem statement why you're transforming. So
Yes.
there should be a real reason for that. Mostly people misalignment. That's what I see, and people who supposed to be part of the decision making, they're not included in that. Lack of true sponsorship.
Yes.
Because if you have, for example, we are doing a transformation for one of the business functions. If the
Yeah.
business function doesn't sponsor that, right? Because you
Yes.
work in silos as an IT team, I don't think so. How much or best of the solutions you build, or maybe best of the transformation you do, bringing a new technology, maybe processes working, they will not adopt it if you don't
Yes.
really bring them and they're not aligned, they're not part of the project. That's definitely it's business. End of the day, who actually going to use the systems, or maybe who is actually will be kind of following the processes because of transformation, what we do, they should be really consulted and also part of the project. If you don't do that, that
Yes.
will be, I think, lack of sponsorship is a big, big challenge for big transformations. And silo decision making, as I said, that I think that's also we need to think about. You can't really make decisions in silos. Just cost is not the only factor. There are other things, in fact. If you get something cheapest of a technology, maybe it might have better features, but end of the day, it doesn't really serve the purpose of business process
Yes.
what we have. It's a big failure for us. I think three things. I think people misalignment, no lack of sponsorship, or maybe we look at the siloed decision making. These three aspects, I see that will definitely fail a bigger transformations in the organization.
I think you kind of expanded it from change management. Like usually most of the leaders will say change management, Rishikesh. Like, but then you kind of have given the 3 pointers very clearly. Like,
Yeah, I know. It's quite easy for a leader to hide behind a process, standard process, right? See, for example, I worked in the service industry, ITSM, all those processes. It's
yeah.
quite easy to say I followed the instant management, I followed change management process. Still, it failed. Not my problem.
Mm.
But that's not the case. You need to be living in the reality. In fact, it doesn't serve the purpose. I think don't follow the standard process then. You come up with
Yes.
your own stuff. Yeah. So I
Yes.
feel that as a leader, we cannot hide behind the processes what we have.
Yeah.
We need to really be cognizant of the fact that end of the day, it has to generate value for us, right? For the business as well.
Srini, you are now working closely with AI-driven delivery models and emerging areas like agentic AI as well. So as AI begins to automate parts of development, testing, operations, how do you see the structure of engineering teams evolving in the next coming years?
It's quite scary, isn't it? The state. This what our topics coming in. More often, I speak to people and say that, "Oh, I done this code." Somebody else coming in, he says that, "Oh, I put in the cloud and I got the code as well. Much better than code. All functions
Mm.
properly done, everything commented. I know anybody can make the changes. Something. I know it's a tough time for most of the engineering teams as well as developers as well. I see that. I think it's. I feel it's. We need to look at where the human value is moving as a
Yes.
developer, human value is moving. I see it's less of a technology skills what we need as of today. Most of the people may start architecting the business process, right, which
Yes.
will generate value. Where you see that these are the business processes where they remove the inefficiency in the steps, and finally they build much more intelligent automated system. So if you look at I don't know whether you heard the statement, if
Mm.
your process is really inefficient, process is not good a business process, how much our AI use it is still
Automation areas. Yes.
what AI does that it actually
Yes.
shows that what inefficiency you have more than it doesn't do anything. So probably the shift will be I see that more of architecting business process. That's where the roles will move into. Definitely less of a skills what they need in the technology, but overall they need to understand that the
Yes.
roles I would see that I started seeing that some of the roles coming in as business architecting roles and all. They need some technology background as well
Yes.
as people who work in the business teams as well to understand their problems. I think that's where people who has skills of understanding the business process, understand where the business efficiencies are there, and maybe those steps you can eliminate and do a better process. Also articulate and ensure that they can automate that for better intelligent systems. That's what I see that future of our engineering teams, and it
Yes.
definitely translate. It'll very quickly translate. I think this is real. I think that's
Yes.
nobody can say that no, nothing is going to come. Everything is okay. Those days are gone. I think we all need to be really up to the speed and what where exactly. I've seen in Novartis as well,
Mm.
quite a few roles are actually emerging as do you have a business knowledge, right?
Mm.
It's very important. I think anybody can build IT system nowadays. You don't
Mm.
understand why would I need to spend maybe a week, 2 weeks to make sure you understand what is the regulation, what actually compliance requirements I have. You should have the knowledge, so anybody else can build that. I can give it to vendor, maybe a couple of weeks, he can build the systems.
Yes.
So that's what it has become. I think that's a reality. We all need to, all the IT folks, engineering groups, they need to really get prepared for that. Uh,
Yes.
I think that's a future, I believe.
And Shini, I was also reading somewhere like it was telling that the line between CTO and CPO is getting blurred. So now the companies will move towards CPTO.
Okay. Okay. So,
Like
okay, CPTO. Okay, CTO, I understand. CP means what actually you mean?
P means product. Like
Okay, product
yeah.
technology officer. Okay, product technology officer you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, maybe because CTO, see, I think it's quite crazy. Is it is
Yeah.
CTTO, I've seen that technology transformation officer.
Yes.
CTO,
Yes.
I've seen that, So
Yes.
there are different CXOs have come. And I think it'll keep changing. I believe so, right?
Yes.
And people who actually have the probably a product mindset somebody has, maybe need to build that culture as well.
The
And also
architect mindset. Like
architect mindset you bring in. It's not just making decisions about what kind of enterprise technology we need to have as a CTO. We need to also have an architectural
yes.
brain, right, to become a become a CPTO, as you say that. Probably that could be one of the reasons maybe they're coming up with that. And again, I think everybody's expecting to be everybody should be a Superman, right? They should know everything kind of nowadays.
Yes.
That's a reality. And we are having people probably they're getting those kind of people. I think expectations are very high on IT folks nowadays, I think. And it's more, I think, more of a technology driven roles right nowadays. This is what we need. And I've seen some of the roles, even though it is CTO, they're very specific to some of the softwares as well. I've seen that, right? Or some of the business areas they're talking about, right?
Yes.
That's what they're becoming as well. So I think I don't know. This is something I feel that it's more of an organizational specific. It'll come and go, and maybe in 6 months, is something else coming in, right?
Yes.
And obviously change is constant. I think you need to be ready for that. And somebody who is actually ready for any changes happening in the industry, I think they adopt that. They'll be the winners in this era, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So somebody who adopts to changes is going to be the winner. So keep on learning, keep on upskilling, and
Yes.
keep on watching podcasts like this, because this is going to give you a lot of insights into what's happening inside the industry. Thank you so much, Srini, for joining us and sharing all your insights. Thank you so much for your time. Extremely grateful that you took out time and shared your insights with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Rishikesh.